Welcome back to episode 122 of the Guardian Project podcast. I'm your host, Andy. And like most folks who work in animal control, I assume Gavin E. Trapper works for Innistrad's Parks Department.
Oh, absolutely.
For sure.
Probably some really good benefits that comes with that job, too.
Trapping werewolves, I assume they have got to have really good health insurance.
And you got to get out of the park at nighttime. You got to get out.
You do not trap at night. You only trap during the day.
You can't do it.
No trapping after dusk.
And I'm your other host, Mike. And ever since I subscribed to the Tolarian Community College YouTube channel, I no longer get ads for Magic booster boxes.
Oh.
Now I only see singles in my area.
That was a good one.
Please listen carefully.
And this is the podcast where we talk about all things Magic the Gathering.
But mostly Commander.
Few announcements this week. One is Extra Life 2021 is happening. So this year you can watch the Extra Life charity stream on Saturday, November 6th, beginning at 4 p.m. Pacific time at twitch.tv/magic. Lots of fun stuff happening there. There's going to be a Q&A with Mark Rosewater. There's a vintage cube draft, set mini booster games that are played on Spell Table. They're talking MTG Arena. They're going to feature Gavin Verhey, Aaron Forsyth, Melissa DeTora. Lots of stuff there. You can also get some gear. MTG Arena, you'll be able to get an Extra Life 2021 themed sleeve November 5th through 8th. It's got a Johnny again. Really good. Honestly,
Johnny.
These Johnnies are real good every year. You can get some t-shirts here. There's another playmat. We'll link this in the show notes below if you're interested. There's it's always a lot of really cool stuff. Last year, you were able to get some pins, I think hats and stuff. I assume a lot of this logo will appear on probably the same apparel as last year.
And then I think they had the Secret Life last year, too, for Extra Life. Or maybe it was the year previous. But they had
Secret Life?
Secret Lair.
It's
Extra
my
Life.
secret life.
But yeah, no, I really am a huge supporter personally with the Extra Life campaign. So really happy that Magic's doing.
We did that. I think that's our very first video on our YouTube channel. It was a lengthy video that Coyle edited.
A 5-person Commander game.
Where we didn't have Spell Table and Coyle hung a webcam from his drop ceiling in his basement.
Yep.
And it's a struggle to get through.
And they were budget decks too.
And it was a long game.
Yeah, very long, but fun. It was still a fun game.
That's where my Gerard Golgari Lichlord deck came from.
Yeah.
Yeah. So check it out. Extra Life 2021. You can support in lots of ways.
Yeah. We also want to give a big thank you to our newest patron, Joseph Barber. Thank you so much for becoming a patron. Your portion of the project is due soon. I do feel like we have so many people on the project now that your job might just be handing it in at the end.
We appreciate that's cool.
I don't want to drive to the school.
You have to print it out.
Yeah, you have to print it out at the library, bind it, and turn it in, but you don't actually have to do any of the work for it.
At the library.
At the library.
You probably, and if it's a college, this is college.
It's some sort of college, school, Guardian project. Maybe it's a trade school.
Yeah. I mean, I know that we got certain amounts of paper at where I went to school. And they said you get, I don't know, it might have been like 50. It was like almost nothing.
Right.
I was like, well, thank you for allowing me to print 50 pages.
Yeah. That way you can't print your book or something and get it for free.
Yeah.
It's highway robbery otherwise.
Most of the time it is.
Yeah, but it's okay.
It's okay. And if you want to become a patron, you can support us by heading to patreon.com/GuardianProjectPod and donating for any dollar amount. There's lots of cool stuff there.
Absolutely. And if you're looking for another way to support the podcast, whatever platform you are enjoying the podcast on now, if you could subscribe, rate, review, and leave comments, we would be really appreciative of that.
We are also online at theguardianprojectpodcast.com. Our social media is on Twitter at GuardianPod. Our gameplay videos are on youtube.com/theguardianproject. You can email us at guardianprojectpod@gmail.com. We're also on Instagram, Guardian Pod there as well. It might actually be Guardian Podcast. We will confirm. And it should be it'll also be in the show notes below.
Yeah.
Because we've been using it recently.
So confirm by going to the show notes below and comment whether or not it's the same.
Yeah, tell us whether or not we got it wrong. Coyle, what are we doing? What are we doing? Coyle, what are we doing?
We're doing a podcast.
We're doing a podcast. What are we talking about on that show?
All right. So this topic this week, we are going to talk about something we've done in the past, but it was a long time ago. We're going to talk about commanders that we don't really see being played anymore. Last time we did this was last year in July. Mm-hmm. So we're going to get to see some changes.
Let's circle back to those commanders. Very corporate. We're going to circle back to that in a year. And let's see who we don't see. We're going to start by looking at the 10 commanders that we chose the last time we talked about this topic. So if you remember, it was all the way back in episode 59. I believe it's 59 that we last talked about this topic. So it's been a really long time. So we want to see if we're right or wrong, and if we have any opinions that changed on the last 10 that we picked. Then we're going to pick 10 more because there's a lot of commanders that we really don't see played very often. And we're going to talk about why.
For sure.
So the first one that we picked last year is Illuna Apex of Wishes, which at that time had 321 decks based on EDHREC, and now it has 949, up by 628. I think we may have jumped the gun on this one. Ikoria had only been out for 3 months.
Right.
So it was like right away that we had kind of picked that.
Yeah, for sure. And I think this may have been one of my selections here. And I think the reason I did it is because some of the other 3-color mutate creatures were seeing a lot of play right away, like Nethroi in the Abzan colors and stuff. But Illuna wasn't seeing play at the time. I personally still don't really see Illuna that often when other people are playing it, but I own an Illuna deck.
I see Illuna a decent amount.
Yeah, I bet you do.
It's on my tracking list at least 10 times this year, I think.
Yeah.
So Illuna is the Teamer Apex. It has mutate. Whenever this creature mutates, you exile cards from the top of your library into exile a non-land permanent, put that onto the battlefield or into your hand.
Yeah. Pseudo polymorph ability on there. That's how I play the deck too. And you know, maybe people just don't want to do a polymorph deck with a mutate creature at the helm. A lot of people are looking at this deck as a mutate only sort of deck where you have to put all these mutate creatures in, and they see the downside of hitting Illuna's ability and getting another mutate creature off of it because you don't get any benefit from that. So I think maybe that's what's keeping people from playing it, but you don't have to play it that way. I mean, I don't play it that way. Illuna's my only creature with mutate in my deck. So I think maybe people aren't using this as the polymorph deck of choice, and that's the only reason why it's not seeing play. I don't know if polymorph really cares about running humans. Maybe it does. I can't imagine it does. What is the blue polymorph legendary creature? Gelera? I don't know.
Gelera Master Polymorphist.
Yeah, so I think she's a human. So maybe a lot of the polymorph legendary creatures out there are human, and maybe that's why Illuna is not seeing play still to this day in the pods that I'm seeing.
Yeah, I would say at this point, I would remove it from this list. For me, you could probably leave it on because you don't see people play it other than you, but maybe remove it because you play it.
Yeah, that's probably true. And I also feel like doing these episodes makes me want to build all of these decks because that's a thing that we like to do is when we don't see a deck, we want to build it because we want to see it. So the next one on last year's list is Ovaya Pashiri Sage Lifecrafter. This is mono green, a lot to compete with in mono green. You get a human artificer 1/2 for 1 green mana. You can pay 2 and a green and tap her to create a 1/1 colorless servo artifact creature token, or 4 and a green tapper to create an XX colorless construct artifact creature token, where X is the number of creatures you control. So it's a mono green kind of go wide strategy or activated ability strategy. Maybe it's an artifact strategy as well in mono green. Maybe it's not. I mean, artifact strategies aren't typically well supported in mono green. And again, mono green has a ton of competition.
You know, we put this on our list, and then on a stream we did last year with Tap That MTG, which was a stream based on artwork, Shauna played Ovaya Pashiri, and it was elder themed. So it was all just a bunch of old ladies. And so
we saw one.
We've seen one.
Yeah.
But that was last year, so I'm not tracking it on my list this year, and I haven't seen one. I would still say this one still stays on the list. I don't see it. I like this card a lot. It makes me want to play it. And if you can get some sort of an engine where whenever a creature, you're in green. So like an intruder alarm would be really cool if you could add blue, right? You create the token, you can untap if you can
for sure
mana here. But cool card to add to a deck that plays with tokens.
This might be the mono green Ashling the Pilgrim, because you could play this with 99 forests.
You could 99 Forest and Ovaya. Yeah. We should do a 99 basic and 1 commander stream.
And see how boring it is, because it might be boring, honestly.
The Ashling is going to
Just kill all the commanders every turn.
And that is an
all right.
issue.
So it's 99 no Ashling stream. No mono red Ashling.
99 cards, but none of them can be Ashling.
None of them can be red Ashling.
All right, the next card on this list is Vadroc, Apex of Thunder. Last year, when we looked at this, it had 651 decks. Last year it had 164. This year it's at 651. And I guess we didn't mention Ovaya was at 165 and is at 175. So it only increased by 10.
Yes.
This one has increased by 487. So Ikoria, again, only out 3 months. I have played against a Vadroc deck many times.
Mm-hmm.
We know that Nick Martin from the Scrap Trawlers plays Vadroc.
We did a whole episode
We've
on
done
it.
an entire episode on a deck tech on Vadroc. That deck's really cool.
Yeah, it is.
The things you can do with it when you build also not on a budget with Vadroc, really, really cool. I do think this one is one that I would remove from this list because I see it enough, but 651 is really low. So I could see an argument to leave it on.
Yeah, I would definitely take it off personally because after doing that deck tech with Nick's deck, we got a lot of people coming out of the frameworks talking about their Vadroc deck stuff. So I know that people are playing it, and again, we know that some
log them online.
Got to do it.
It's a lot of work to log your decks, but then become part of the algorithm.
Ooh, algorithm?
Algorithm.
I've never heard of Al or his algorithm. But the next commander on our commander list here is Marath, Will of the Wild. So Marath had 869 decks last year, and we're up to 997 with an increase of 128. So we have Marath as a for a red, a green, and a white. You get an elemental beast 0/0 that enters the battlefield with a number of +1/+1 counters on it equal to the amount of mana spent to cast it. It's got an activated ability where you can remove X +1/+1 counters from Marath to choose one of 3 abilities to put X +1/+1 counters on a target creature. Marath can deal X damage to any target, or you can create an XX green elemental creature token. So this was a Naya face commander, back in the day in, I think it was the 2015-16 cycle. And I just don't think, I know Mael the Animist, I think, was in this deck as well. I feel like that's probably a more popular Naya theme. This Marath does so much with its 3 different abilities. I'm not really sure it's really refined on what Marath can do, and I think there's just a better Naya creature for each individual ability that Marath has. Maybe you have to build around all 3 abilities to make it good.
So this is actually from Commander 2013.
Oh, okay. Even older.
It's even older. There are some insane combos. So
sure.
I think that a lot of people that play Marath play it as that insane, I'm just going to go crazy ham with wiping the board. And by wiping the board, I mean like just stomping over everything,
sure,
or just getting rid of you. I guess effectively eliminating your board.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't see it. I know we have someone at our LGS that plays it, but I have not even been in a pod with that person. And I just started going back to the LGS probably a month or 2 ago was the first time that I had started going back. I would leave this on the list, which is funny seeing as it's one of the more popular commanders at just shy of 1,000 still from being released in 2013. And it's never received a reprint.
No.
Except for the Commander Legends etched foil version.
Okay. So it wasn't in any of the Commander anthologies or anything like that either.
It has not. It's 2013, oversized, and Commander Legends etched foil.
I hope you keep all your oversized commanders because a lot of those are going up in price.
A lot are going up. Speaking of another commander that had an oversized card, Nahiri the Lithomancer. So this actually was from 2015. I think Commander 2015 was the precons that had Planeswalkers as the face commander. This was the mono white Nahiri. So Nahiri can be your commander as a Planeswalker, 3 loyalty for 3 white. So you're playing mono white, which I do think kind of hurts this deck. +2, you make a core soldier, and then you can attach an equipment you control to it. -2, search for an equipment, put it into your hand. You can search your great. It says you may put an equipment from your hand or graveyard onto the battlefield, and then -10, put a colorless equipment artifact named Stoneforge Blade onto the battlefield. It has indestructible, and equipped creature gets +5/+5, double strike, and has equip for 0. This deck, at the time that we had recorded, we had 271 decks. This is down to 233. So this one has a decrease of 162. This one is solidly on the, I don't know when I will see this again if I don't build it myself. And I loved playing that deck when I had it. I thought it was a solid precon. When you played against other precons from that,
for sure,
time, except the mono blue Teferi. But as a precon, it did not feel that crazy. But it's also been many years now. So I don't remember the games when they were played just together.
For sure. Yeah. I mean, that was before I even started playing Magic. So
we got SRAM, and I think a lot of people moved to SRAM, and I think that's part of the big factor.
And that's
here.
just mono white equipment too. I mean, people could be doing Nahiri, like they take them all the mono white cards from the Nahiri deck and they play Boros, because Boros is really supported for the equipment theme right now too.
You've got Nazan in red green who can play for
in white green.
In white green.
Yep.
What did I say?
Red green.
Red green. It's not Gruul.
No.
Selesnya.
It's Selesnya.
You can play that. I think that's the reason why. I like Nahiri though.
Yeah, for sure. Very, very cool card. I have it in my Planeswalker deck. Doesn't fit the theme too well, but it makes blockers, which is pretty cool. The next one we have on here is Herobi, Death's Wail. It's a 4-mana, 4/4 flying spirit. Herobi had 217 decks, up to 326 decks. The important part on here is it says whenever a creature becomes the target of a spell or ability, destroy that creature. So I had this on this list. I have seen this deck once, but it was at the beginning of the pandemic over Spell Table.
It was over Spell Table, and as soon as and I don't know if it's related to this episode, I don't think it was, but all of a sudden during pandemic, it went crazy in our Discord. Everyone talked about this.
Yep.
Everyone wanted to build it.
It's really cool.
There's people from our Discord that I played against, and they were playing ridiculous artifacts. They're like, tap this to give target creature unblockable until end of turn. Cool. My creature just died.
Oh yeah. And then on top of it, we got Killian from Strixhaven, which cared about it had spells that target creatures cost less to cast. So Herobi in the 99 of Killian decks was actually pretty cool to see.
It's also a control deck, and I think that might be part of the reason why a lot of people don't play it.
For sure.
It's not the most fun deck to play against, and you definitely want to prepare. This is one of those commanders where during that pregame discussion, I would say, anybody care if I play Herobi? And I don't want to be metagamed against, but please don't play something where you're literally only relying on one single, like don't play a Voltron deck unless you have multiple ways to remove this or give your creature protection almost immediately.
Yeah. Stick one of your auras on Herobi and then Herobi kills itself.
Yeah, I guess. Khazarov, Sengir, Pureblood. This is a 4/4 legendary vampire for 5 black, 7 mana. It has flying. Whenever a creature an opponent controls is dealt damage, put a +1/+1 counter on Khazarov, Sengir, Pureblood. Pay 3 in a red. It deals 2 damage to target creature. Last time we talked about Khazarov, there were 119 decks. It's down to 91, with a decrease of 28. Solidly on this list still.
Yeah, not even close to the best Rakdos vampire commander.
I don't know how often I'll see this. It's certainly, you have way better options.
Yeah, I had the deck once in the past.
Yep.
It lost a lot. The next commander we have on the list here is Anawan, but not new Anawan, but old Anawan. Anawan the Ruin Sage, mono black. 103 decks, previously down to 95. It's only a decrease of 8. It's a legendary creature, vampire shaman, 4 power, 3 toughness for 5 mana, 3 black. This is the beginning of your upkeep. Each player sacrifices a non-vampire creature. So I think this one is still not seeing play. There's so many more better vampire legendary creatures for Vampire Matters decks, on top of the fact that it's kind of a feels bad to have the first half of Shieldred in your command zone for 5 mana.
Yeah, it feels like a control deck. I think the fact that it's at 5 mana is a deterrent because you want to get it out as quickly as you possibly can, which means you want to play Soul Rings, you want to play fast mana, which is fine. If you want to play an Anawan the Rune Sage deck and you want to throw in a Mana Crypt and a Mana Vault and whatever, just to be able to get it out on turn 2. Yeah. 100%. You can get it out on turn 1. I mean, without some crazy. I mean, Dark Ritual gets you 3.
Dark Ritual gets you real close.
It gets you real close already. It's insane on turn 1. Real good on turn 2.
You can't have creatures anymore. Sorry.
Unless you're making multiple a turn. And I think that's the reason Anawan's down. Guafa Hazid Profiteer, when we last talked about this, Guafa had 223 decks. It's down to 219, so a decrease of a total of 4. Guafa is an Azorius commander, 2/2 human rogue, 1 white and a blue. It says pay a white and a blue, tap it, put a bribery counter on target creature you don't control. Its controller draws a card. Creatures with bribery counters on them can't attack or block. This is Azorius control.
Yep.
When we last talked about this, I'm pretty sure we said it's just, you're going to just run counter spells. You're going to run bounces. You're going to, it's a control deck, but I think other people just want to play with new stuff.
Yeah.
Honestly,
Yeah.
this is a really cool card to play with still.
For sure. Yeah. Very, very underseen. Sticking on the list forever. Okay. Next one here is our first colorless one. That's Hope of Girper. 264 decks in the past, up to 350 decks. So people are building more of this. This is a 1-mana legendary artifact creature, colorless, 1/1 with flying, and says sacrifice Hope of Girper until end of your next turn. Target player who is dealt combat damage by Hope of Girper this turn can't cast non-creature spells. This is typically a colorless Voltron deck, and I don't think there's anything that has been printed over the past year and a half that would make it any different. It's an Artifact Matters Voltron deck.
Urza Saga's really cool in it.
Sure. What do you find? A Colossus Hammer?
You could.
Probably.
People are throwing Eldrazi in here.
Sure. When it's colorless and you need some creature support, right? That's what you have to turn to. You have some artifact creatures. Maybe we want to put a Mere Battlesphere in here too.
Yeah, I haven't seen this deck either. I think the only deck that I have, the only few decks that I've seen were the Vadroc and Aluna. So those were the 10 that we chose last year. This year's list may have some commanders that surprise you, and surprised me when I saw them put on the list as well. But after we looked at our lists, we are really not seeing these played. Nope. So someone has them. And if you have them, tweet at us with hashtag I have it.
I have it. Let's play.
I have it. Let's play.
Yeah.
And then come and join our Discord and put with us on Spell Table.
Yeah.
The first commander on this list is Geleva, Nefalious Scourge. So there are 947 decks. It's the 8th most popular Grixis commander and ranked 210 of all commanders on EDH Rec. Geleva is a 1/3 flying vampire wizard for 1, a blue, a black, and a red. When Geleva, Nefalious Scourge enters the battlefield, each player exiles the top X cards of their library, where X is the amount of mana spent to cast Geleva. And whenever Geleva attacks, you may cast an instant or sorcery exiled with it without paying its mana cost. Great control deck. I've played against this in the past. It's terrifying when it comes out, and it's one of those remove on-site commanders. Although I do think a lot of commanders are moving to that, where they just are so packed with value.
Yeah.
A lot of them are just, I'm so sorry, I got to keep removing your whatever that thing is, because it's going to do too much. I have not seen this in at least 2 years.
It feels like, 2 years is probably about right. Last time I saw it was in an LGS, and I remember the first 3 cards that got exiled. Among them was an Expropriate, and I'm like, oof, that's gonna be cast for free, huh? Better save a piece of removal every turn.
Yeah.
Until it's gone. And it was it was kind of scary because of that. I mean, big spells for free are scary. We do see some new card synergy here, like Harmonic Prodigy. Really, really love that card from Modern Horizons 2. 1/3 for 2 mana with prowess, but the important part, if an ability of a shaman or another wizard you control triggers, that ability triggers an additional time. So you're going to be able to not only exile, double the amount of cards when Geleva enters the battlefield, but also cast 2 spells for free when Geleva attacks. There's some other really big spells that came out, like in Commander Legends, like the 9-mana sorceries, Mnemonic Deluge, in blue, 6 blue, exile target instant or sorcery card from a graveyard, copy that card 3 times. You're gonna be able to copy Expropriate. No, Expropriate gets exiled. If it got milled somehow, though, you could copy it 3 times. There's a couple extra turn spells that you can copy 3 times, or just generically good cards like Jessica's Will or Aminatu's Augury. So I think this commander should probably see more play.
It really should. I think we're getting so many new commanders every year. And if you look at the number of commanders that were released this year and the last year compared to released in all of like 2014, 15, I mean, it's not even comparable, the sheer number. And I think there's a lot of new Grixis commanders that came out that people just want to play with. We got Obeka this last year, which deals with turns. I think a lot of the decks are likely sharing lots of pieces. Mana bases are extremely expensive. If you don't want to proxy, you don't want to have to purchase extra copies, you'll just disassemble and make a new deck.
I guess it would be nice to see people transition who had good stuff Golos decks, now that Golos is banned, to come into good stuff Geleva decks. You're going to save money on your mana base. You're going to have to change some things out and have some different big free spells for you to cast. You're going to care about ETB triggers still, so that works with Golos, but now you're going to care about attack triggers too. Yeah. Change it up a little bit. It'll be a nice challenge. So the next deck here, the next commander is a very popular commander. This is Kerridor, Ghost Chieftain, with 1,700 decks. So this is actually the third most popular Abzan commander that there is. But the two commanders in Abzan that are more popular than this are also cares about the graveyard commanders. And I think that's why we are not seeing Kerridor as much as we were before. So Nethroi, Apex of Death, and Gave, Guru of Spores are the two that are more popular than Kerridor. But Kerridor still has a lot of power in itself. It's an 8 CMC commander, so 5 in Abzan, white, black, green. You get a Centaur Spirit 3/4 that says this spell costs 1 less to cast for each creature card in your graveyard, and during each of your turns, you may cast a creature spell from your graveyard. So still really good. You can, cast it for 3 mana every single turn if Kerridor is dying. But again, I just think that there are other Abzan reanimation commanders that are just way more popular now.
It's rank 103 of all commanders. It is competing with Nethroi, which was wildly popular.
For sure.
Lots of little combos, but Kerridor has the same combos. It just came first.
It does.
I think a lot of this boils down to people are playing with the new hotness, and that's fine. I would like to see a Kerridor deck again.
I think I saw one about a year and a half ago, and that was about it. Maybe people are just transitioning over to the Sultai colors for their reanimation decks, because Kerridor can only cast 1 creature from your graveyard, where something like Meldrotha can cast 1 of each permanent type from your graveyard.
I also think that there is a significant increase in combos with cards that are in graveyards. I have nothing to qualify this. I did not prepare any stats on cards that I guess combo with the graveyard now, but I play a lot more Graveyard Exile with Scavenger Grounds, Bajuka Bog, individual targeted removal here. So Kerridor, in a lot of cases, is a very, very self-mill oriented deck.
For sure.
You're playing cards like Salvage and things that are just self-mill dredge cards. Hermit Druids. Yeah. If you're playing if you have a Hermit Druid, yeah, it's a great card for that deck. I'm just going to get rid of your graveyard so you can't play the Kerridor.
For sure.
I hope.
Absolutely. That's the best strategy you can do against an all-in graveyard strategy. And, that's an even more advantage to play something like Gav, Guru of Spores, who can still work without a graveyard if that happens to you.
Yeah. Yasova Dragonclaw is my next choice here. So it's a 4/2 human warrior for 2 and a green that has trample. And at the beginning of combat on your turn, you may pay a colorless and then hybrid blue-red, blue-red. If you do, gain control of target creature and opponent controls with power less than Yasova Dragonclaw's power until end of turn. Untap that creature, it gains haste until end of turn. Right now, there are 617 Yasova Dragonclaw decks. This is a commander I never built. I wanted to build a theft deck. And I did.
You did.
But I built it with Minsk,
yes,
Beloved Ranger, and Boo. The cards that are in that deck, for the most part, because that's Naya and this is Teamer, so I added white, and this would give me blue.
Yep.
So this one's probably better, in my opinion.
Because it gets blue.
Right. Because I like blue. But white does give you a few combos if you're playing the version that, I guess, Pod, if you play Pod, where you are sacrificing a creature, getting a creature with a higher mana value or power type, whatever it is, whatever version of the card you're using, Eldritch Evolution, what have you. You have like Revelar combos in white if you wanted to play a combo version. For sure. This version's cool. I just really like the Fate Reforged commanders that have the hybrid mana or the hybrid ability to pay. The last time I saw a Yasova Dragonclaw deck was actually at Command Fest Chicago before the pandemic, because someone actually played against it with us. And then when we were talking to people about making a deck with some deck techs, a Yasova Dragonclaw deck was proposed.
Yeah. I like the comparison that you made with Minsk, where Minsk has the sacrifice outlet on its face and Yasova has the steal your creature on its face. So, you have to take all the steal your creature spells and putting in Minsk, and you have to take your sacrifice outlets and put them in Yasova. So they're built differently that way, but the color difference for sure make a huge difference.
If I do ever take apart Minsk, which I've talked about because it has a lot of really expensive pieces in it that are just nice to move into other decks, maybe I should transition to the Yasova deck, because again, as we talk about all these, we would like to build
every single one.
Everyone.
The next one we have on our list here is relatively new, so maybe we're going to have the same issue that we did with the Ikoria commanders before. This is your Lock of Scorched Thrash from Commander Legends. So there's 1,214 of these decks. And this one is apparently pretty popular according to EDH Rec, but I've literally never seen it before, ever, being played. And there was so much hype about this commander from Commander Legends. I mean, Commander Legends, sure, it's been out for a while now, and we do see over 1,000 Yurlok decks, and I have never played one.
I have played against Yurlok. I have not died to mana burn, or the what is written now as a player losing unspent mana causes that player to lose that much life. Used to be a rule, mana burn. So you used all your mana. So at the end of turn, it would hurt you.
Right.
They brought it back with Yurlok. I've played against Yurlok. It did not lose that way. I lost a different way to generic Jund value.
Sure.
But Yurlok is a very good deck. I think it's on my list twice though.
It's on your list twice.
As playing against it this year, I am now at 247 games this year, so it's very low.
Yeah, less than 1%.
Yep.
So yeah, no, I would just like to see more of them. And this was a commander that the reason I didn't build it is because of the popularity that it had when Commander Legends came out.
Turns out
it's not very popular.
All the commanders there were very popular.
Yes, well, that's also true.
The next card is Halar the Fire Fletcher. So Halar is a 3/3 elf archer for 1, a red and a green with trample. Whenever you cast a spell, if that spell was kicked, put a +1/+1 counter on Halar the Fire Fletcher. Then Halar deals damage equal to the number of +1/+1 counters on it to each opponent. I've never played against this deck.
Not once.
But I've played against the other kicker deck, Verazal, the Split Current, like 7 times this year.
Lots.
This is an uncommon commander from Dominaria. A couple of them are really popular, right? So we've got Slimefoot, very popular. I built Rona, Disciple of Gix, very unpopular, but I think this one just falls into, this was when we really started ramping up the number of legendary creatures we saw each set. Obviously it was a legendary set, so that's part of it. But I think people tend to play blue more often than red in combination with green. I don't know. I'm making some assumptions here because I see Simic way more than Gruul.
Well, if we look at the 2 kicker commanders, you're right on the color scheme, but the Verazal, I mean, it's doubling your kicker spells when you're removing +1/+1 counters. Halar, you get to do a lightning bolt when you kick a spell. I mean, I don't think they're very comparable when it comes to how effective those commanders are. Well, if you kick
3 spells in a turn, though,
that's going to cost like 25 mana.
I mean, you're still. You're still in this, though. I don't
know how effective the text. I mean, I like the fact that Halar has trample and it's getting +1/+1 counters. You're going to be able to swing with it. So that's the part that maybe you're getting that extra advantage from, and you can play it like a +1/+1 counters deck the same way that you do with the Verazal deck. They both have green. They're both going to have support with +1/+1 counters. So it's red versus blue, this text versus that text.
This is Aetherflux Reservoir, though. It's 1, then 2, then 3, then 4. I mean, it's a lot of damage, and assuming you can put a Lightning Greaves on Halar, good luck getting rid of it. That's
true,
right? So over time, this could do a lot more, I guess. Sure. Individual damage.
Maybe this is your gutter snipe in the command zone or something, but with kicked spells, and maybe you can make that work.
You got to play all the green and red kick spells, though.
You must play every single one.
So I don't see it. I'm going to leave it on the list for now. I'm curious to see what happens when we talk about this next year. One
more Zendikar set, then we'll build it.
Okay.
More kicker. All right, so the next commander we have on here is a 4-color commander, Brea Ethereum Shaper.
The first one I was blown away to see on this list.
Right? So there's actually the only other way you can get this 4-color combination of white, blue, black, red is to use 2-color partners. So Brea is a very unique 4-color commander. Face commander in commander sets from 2017, I think. With Atraxa was one of them, and the Kineas and Tiro and Yidris. So Brea is a 4-mana legendary artifact creature human, 4/4. This is when Brea enters the battlefield, create 2 1/1 blue Thopter artifact creature tokens with flying, and you can pay 2 generic mana to sacrifice 2 artifacts, choose one. Brea either deals 3 damage to target player or planeswalker, target creature gets -4/-4 until end of turn, or you gain 5 life. This particular deck used to see a lot of play in CEDH because of Bomberman combo of Ariok Salvager and Lion's Eye Diamond being able to make infinite mana of any color, and then Brea having the ability to do damage to someone by sacrificing the 2 Thopters that you get by casting Brea, and Brea entering the battlefield makes it so that infinite mana combined with your command zone makes it so you win the game. I didn't see a ton of Brea, like just casual decks out there. Maybe that has to do with the 4 color requirement on here. I don't think people are saying, oh, I want my artifact deck to have green so I can't play Brea. I don't think that's a thing that's happening, but maybe people just don't want to play the 4 colors.
I played against it once. This is the only deck, the only commander on this entire list that I have on my tracking for 2021.
Gotcha.
So I couldn't put it on this list because I do see it being played, but I believe it was in February.
Okay, fair enough.
So it was the very beginning of this year. I played online and I lost to said combo you referenced.
Yes.
So it was a combo centric deck that was towards the high power.
Gotcha.
So it was not. I do think that the commanders from 2016 struggled with having a out of the box pre-con mana base to support them.
For sure.
But once you got that mana base where it needed to be, to, I guess, and when I say needed to be, I say at a pace where you can keep up with decks that do have decent mana bases. Sure. It starts to just become a generically really strong deck. And maybe that's why.
Okay, that's fair.
There aren't really other options for this because to get 4 colors, like you said, you have to pair the partners that are already 2 color partners.
That's the only other way to get this 4 colors. Yep.
So you're playing Vile Smasher and Ashai.
That is one combination. Yep. You can play Timna and Ludovic.
Timna and Ludovic. You could do that too.
You can't play Thrasios though. Thrasios
no Thrasios because that's green. So we don't see Brea being played. So if you're playing Brea, let us know. A newer commander again here is General Kudro of Draneth, a 3/3 human soldier, 1 a white and a black. This is from Ikoria. So it's been a year now.
For sure.
So this says other humans you control get +1/+1 whenever General Kudro of Draneth or another human enters the battlefield under your control. Exile target creature from an opponent's, or exile target card from an opponent's graveyard. Pay 2, sacrifice 2 humans, destroy target creature power 4 or greater. On paper, I love this card.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. It's in
203 decks right now.
It's in black white. I wish it also had green.
I wish it had green.
Yeah.
Or I just wish it was green white.
That could be too. That would work. Absolutely. It's a great card in a 3-color humans deck, in my opinion, a 5-color humans deck. It does a lot of work. I mean, it's got built-in graveyard hate. It's got built-in removal. It's got a built-in anthem for 3 mana. And you get a 3/3 for 3 mana, which isn't bad by itself.
It's the 25th most popular black-white commander.
I'm sure. I bet it's the most popular black-white humans commander too.
I didn't look, so I cannot confirm, but it is not high up the list of black-white commanders. I don't expect to see this in the future creep up the list. I think you see Jarina Kudro in Mardu humans playing with General Kudro of Draneth.
Right. Now, Jarina Kudro is so popular that it deserves its own podcast, though.
This is true.
Right. But definitely General Kudro goes in the Jarina Kudro deck.
Yes.
Yeah. All right. So the next commander we have on here is one that I had built a very long time ago. And you are going to be very surprised that it is on this list. And that is Nekusar, the Mind Razor. This used to be absolutely one of the most popular Grixis commanders of all time. It is still the second most popular Grixis commander of all time. Nekusar is a zombie wizard for 5 mana, 2 blue, black, red, 2/4. This is the beginning of each player's draw step. That player draws an additional card. And whenever an opponent draws a card, Nekusar deals 1 damage to that player. So Nekusar decks, I think, are more typically like wheel strategy decks. And wheel strategy decks are on the salt score. I mean, they're a high salt score strategy. People don't really want to play against wheel strategy decks that much. I know you wrote an article about wheel strategy decks as well. So I know you have a lot of experience, talking to the community
about it.
Didn't go over
well. People were not thrilled for someone to talk negatively, and not even negatively, but talk about gaming against wheels. But Nekusar is the second most popular Grixis commander, and it does what it does well.
Yeah. But
really well.
People love to draw cards, and they don't want to take damage every time they draw a card. So Nekusar, I think, promotes a feel bad experience when just looking at it. No matter how you built the deck, looking at it, I think promotes a feel bad experience for people who just want to play a casual game and draw cards.
Just remove Nekusar. That's fine. You don't need it.
It kind of
Counter it.
You should counter it every
If
time.
you're playing blue to draw cards, also play blue to counter spells.
Well, yeah, honestly, at least a couple. Just a couple.
3 is good.
Yeah, Force of Will.
No,
Force
they can be
negation.
just counter spell. Didn't say please.
Fierce Guardianship.
Fierce
course.
Guardianship is fine.
It's like $30-$40.
Came
or
in a
something.
precon.
It came in
so
a precon.
we know it's fine and fun. It came in a precon.
That's what that means.
fine and fun.
Fine and fun came in a precon.
Nekusar was also from a precon.
Yes, Nekusar was
Fine and fun.
It is both fine and fun, and I personally love wheel strategies, and I love drawing and making people draw and discard cards. But I also understand the feel bad.
I haven't played against a Nekusar deck since you took yours apart,
Right.
which at this point, again, at least 2 years ago.
You may have been the last person to play my Nekusar deck. In fact,
I'm
not sure how long it was kept together after that tournament.
Because you didn't even put together Cast Dissident Mage very quickly either. This
No.
was taken apart and it was just gone.
Yep.
I had made the Locust God, and that was my wheels deck. I didn't have black in my version, but
Mhm.
I was the only person playing wheels for a long time as well. I wasn't seeing wheel strategies either. So
Yeah.
Nekusar is not on my list right now, but the numbers say otherwise.
Yeah. So if you have unique Nekusar lists out there, I would like to see them personally.
Yes. Hamza, Guardian of Arashin, a 5/5 elephant warrior for 4 green and a white. It says this spell costs 1 less to cast for each creature you control with a +1/+1 counter on it. Creature spells you cast cost 1 less to cast for each creature you control with a +1/+1 counter on it. So it's cheaper. Other creatures cost less. It's got 872 decks. This is a lot of decks
Yeah.
for a Commander Legends Selesnya commander. I did not expect it to be this high when I was looking at these decks, but I have never seen this commander, even in the, I believe it's 4 now, Commander Legends drafts we've done. No one's even played this.
I have seen it in one of our Commander Legends drafts.
Oh,
but
you
were
have?
not in our pod.
I was not in that pod.
That's right.
So this is on your list.
Yeah.
So you couldn't put this on your list.
I don't track my drafts on my Commander.
Oh, that's
tracker.
true. You don't put them on your list, do you?
I do not track the drafts, but I do track just the constructed games. I've not seen this in constructed. I see what this can do in constructed. No, I take that back. I have seen this in constructed once. And it comboed like crazy.
Oh,
It was a really impressive combo.
I'm listening. I am all ears right now.
It took like 10 pieces to put together, but it finally got to the point where like a colorless creature cost 0 mana for this person. And so they were just like casting and bouncing stuff and getting infinite ETBs and then getting +1/+1 counters on everything. It was like a Cather's Crusade with a walking ballista out with an infinite cast and ETB trigger thing that kept putting +1/+1 counters because of the Cather's Crusade. So it was a really, really cool combo to see. And yeah, but that was it. The one time that I've seen it, plus in a draft.
And looking at a lot of the high synergy cards here, you've got cards like Inspiring Call, draw a card for each creature you control that has a +1/+1 counter on it. They gain Indestructible, Good Fortune Unicorn, Fertilid, Conclave Mentor. I mean, they all seem like, of course, it works perfectly.
Yeah,
This
+1/+1
is what it's supposed to do. I just haven't seen it. And I think, again, that maybe Commander Legends is also falling prey to the Dominaria effect of there were so many. I can only afford to build so many.
Sure.
And maybe Hamza just didn't
Perhaps
make the top of the list.
people should consider building Hamza now, given that we have this Coven mechanic now that cares about +1/+1 counters, and you can
Well, it just cares about different powers.
right. But I mean, typically you're getting different powers with +1/+1 counters. It's kind of associated.
Yeah.
So maybe putting some of these Coven cards in is going to help you get Hamza out early. Maybe that's the issue. Getting Hamza out early, low mana cards with +1/+1 counters to make Hamza cost less. Very, very cool commander. People should play more of this card. The last commander on our list.
Blew me away.
Yeah.
This one was mind-blowing when I saw this.
A deck you're probably going to see a lot more of in the very near future. But as of right now, the most popular Mardu commander of all time, Edgar Markov, has not made my list in quite some time.
It hasn't made mine either.
So, I mean, literally the most popular Mardu commander, the most popular Vampire Lord commander.
The 9th most popular commander of all time.
It's got Eminence, so it's already really strong because Eminence in my opinion, was not a good thing to put on a card. It's really strong. But Edgar Markov, 6 mana, Vampire Knight, 4/4/3, red, white, black, with Eminence, meaning that when you cast another vampire spell, if Edgar Markov is in the command zone or on the battlefield, create a 1/1 black vampire creature token. Edgar has first strike and haste, and whenever Edgar Markov attacks, put a +1/+1 counter on each vampire you control. So just a ton of vampire synergy in the Mardu colors, which vampires didn't really see support outside of Rakdos for a while, or at least 2 colors. I mean, we saw some vampire support on Guilds of Ravnica and in some of the Ravnica sets with like Orzhov and stuff like that, but we didn't really see a really good 3-color vampire commander until this face commander with Edgar Markov, and it is just never let up.
Now, we can't say that we helped you save money either, because this card is now nearly $70. It is,
and it's probably going to go up in price.
Well, of course, it only has a single printing in the Commander 17 set and a Judge promo.
Yeah,
the Judge promos are sold out, and there's the lowest listing is $67 right now on TCG Player.
Beautiful.
I have an Edgar Markov, not in a sleeve, in a random white 1,000 card box,
right,
until we wrote this episode a couple days ago.
Oh, and you saw the price?
Didn't realize Edgar had shot up so much.
Oh yeah.
So I went and I had to take the card out, put it in a sleeve and in a binder.
Oh yeah.
I didn't get rid of it. I figured one day I'll put this back together. It is a deck we've talked about on the show. I took it apart because it never did anything for me.
Right.
I just ran out of steam.
Yep.
Every 5th card needs to be draw 3 cards with this, because I just ran out all my creatures. They would get blown up. Could have been poor deck building skills a few years ago on my part.
Well, maybe we have new protection, some new, like if you control your commander, your creatures become indestructible. Free spell in white. Teferi's Protection, I think, was printed in that deck.
Teferi's Protection was...
Maybe it was. Was it in the Edgar Markov deck? I think it might have been in the Edgar Markov deck, and maybe that's why, again, was so popular at the beginning, because everyone wanted Teferi's Protection. That was the best protection spell. That was better than Heroic Intervention. It was a fantastic card to have. So I'd say maybe there's some extra protection, board state protection. We're going to get some more vampire synergy coming up in Crimson Moon.
Crimson Vow.
Crimson Vow. There's a moon.
There's still Innistrad still has a moon.
Yeah.
Even when you get married.
Oh, we're gonna get red Emrakul because it's gonna be a Crimson Moon.
Maybe.
That'd be cool.
What is that saying?
What saying?
Like
which
something
saying?
Moon, Sailor's Delight.
Oh,
what is the?
It's red moon at night, Sailor's Delight. Red moon in the morning, Sailor's Warning. And it's sun, but not moon. I don't know why.
Sun. It's not moon.
It's not
sun.
moon. It's sun.
Red sun.
Red sun at night, Sailor's Delight. Red sun in the morning, Sailor's Warning. It has something to do with refraction of light through clouds.
It has nothing to do with the moon. So that segue
that's also true.
Did absolutely nothing for us.
Well, the moon is just a reflection of the sun, so it's the same.
Oh my gosh!
And I keep hitting the microphone stand over here, Andy.
Edgar Markov did get so many cards though recently. It has Florian, Valderan Scion. We've got Vampire Socialite, Falcon Wrath Pit Fighter, all these cards that came out in Innistrad Midnight Hunt. We know we're going to be seeing some more solid commander cards. Previously, Stromkirk Captain, Captivating Vampire, Bloodline Keeper, all these cards really, really expensive right now.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of cards that were printed initially in Innistrad are now also very expensive. They're only going to go up. No. And I assume after Innistrad Crimson Vow comes out, this will hit my list for the end of the year. I guarantee it.
I'm sure the only way I see it not happening is because along with Crimson Vow, we're going to get 2 commander decks.
What if we get a new Edgar Markov?
If we even get just a new Mardu Vampire commander, I mean, it's going to take something away from Edgar Markov, even if it's worse, like in every way possible, which is never the case with Magic the Gathering. If it's worse in every way possible, Mardu commander, it's still going to take some decks away from Edgar. So
I think we're going to see an Edgar Markov in the next set.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to be Mardu though.
Who knows? Because on the card, the flavor text for Fateful Absence, which is a story spotlight card, it does say, sensing a plot, Sora noticed his grandfather's resting crypt, but someone else had gotten there first. He's not in the crypt.
No, Rob in the crypt.
It's not
of a person.
The Crypt Keeper did not do their job on Innistrad. Okay, whoever your Crypt Keeper is,
Yes.
it's probably Sorin is
no.
keeping the crypt.
But now, like, crypts for vampires are just bedrooms, though, right?
They're just a bedroom.
Yeah, I mean, there was talk in the story about how there was some inconsistency between the cards in the story about how Sorin was in the catacombs. And they're like, they went to the second floor and found him in his room. It's like, his room might be in the catacombs. I mean, it might be catacomb room. Just saying. Vampires live in coffins. And they don't have NyQuil or DayQuil to care for those coffins. So they have to do it themselves.
That was boo.
Yeah, exactly.
For those coffins.
Yeah, and there's ghosts around because catacombs, so boo.
Catacombs. So taking a look at this list, we had Geleva, Kerridor, Yasova, Yurlok, Halar, Brea, General Kudro of Dranath, Nekusar, Hamza, and Edgar Markov. We don't see them.
Nope.
And we want to know if you see them. And if you play them, we want you to tweet at us with a deck list. Actually, I want to see your deck list too.
Yeah, we do want to see the deck list.
Link it to the deck list if you have it saved. If not, spread them all out on the floor and take a picture.
Yeah.
Because I also do like looking at pictures and just liking those.
Make sure there's glare on 7 cards, so I have to PM you about those 7 cards too.
PM, DM.
DM, PM, private message, direct message.
Direct message.
Okay, sorry. I'm living in a different world.
Hit us up with a DM on what those 7 glared cards are.
Exactly.
Hashtag glare. When you do tweet us with the glare, it's got to be hashtag glare. Well, that's it for this week. We want to thank you all for listening. If you want to contact me directly, you can find me on Twitter at ATFlory.
And you can find me on Twitter at Wormcoil Engine. And of course, I want to give a special thanks to Ryan Nichols, our producer and editor. Thank you for everything that you do on a weekly basis for us. You are the best, and we love you. We also want to give a thank to Chris Wolf, who handles all of our graphic design. We love you. And for all of you who are listening, I think we also love you.
We definitely love you.
We love you too. And you need to come back and listen to us next week.
Bye.
Bye.